Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry we missed last week. The universe is against this show existing. We're fighting against the universe today. We'll see who wins. We're probably not going
Hopefully.
to. How are you?
Hopefully we win. Hey, Drew. Very nice hoodie that you have there, I must say. I noticed.
You. I got a lot of comments on my trip over the past 2 weeks. A lot of people seem to think you work at SpaceX if you wear a SpaceX hoodie. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it's that simple or that easy, but
that's how you get hired, actually. You just wear the merch.
I just started lying to people because it was easier than explaining that I just was a fan of something, so I wear the merch, but
I like it.
I designed the Raptor engines. How are you, Mike?
I would hate to design Raptor engines. I'm good. You know, I'm sipping on my tea here this fine morning and enjoying the company of you guys, and can't wait to talk about all the things that we missed in the weeks that we have not recorded the podcast. But yeah.
As we're recording this, the date for the Giga Texas barbecue, is that what we're calling it? Feels weird calling it Gigafest.
It's a shindig. It's a shindig.
Giga Shindig has been struck by Elon time within a 10-hour block. So I want your guys' predictions on, is April 7th the final date, or do you think it'll get pushed again?
I mean, it really depends when the new Model Ys start rolling out of Giga Austin, which would then give us all the other Giga Berlin and Giga Shanghai and Giga Fremont and Giga Nevada. It'll help us all figure out the dates. So it really just depends on Giga Austin.
Well, from what I've seen, because I've been watching Jeff Roberts really closely in his drone videos, they've already started bringing some Model Ys from inside the factory outside, and they have protection over them. They have like outdoor coverings. And yesterday, I think they caught like over 100, and now 50 of them have been moved off site. So that's a good number of cars. That's like not a handful, I would say, at this point. They're getting more and more produced from that factory. And Tesla was even openly tweeting about their 1 millionth 4680 battery produced at the Cato Road facility, which was cool. So hopefully one of many, many million, hopefully one of billion to come, but
many billions.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're close. I have a feeling that if it's the factory's building this many vehicles, it's got to be a few weeks before final verification. Like, do you think they should have an event if the factory is in operation? Like, if people are working there?
It'd be a nice after-work party for employees that want to celebrate. It'll be annoying for others that just want to go home and enjoy their evening.
Yeah,
but true. I don't know. I think it might be fun. It is interesting that you say that, or at least that you mentioned that they've made 1 million 4680 cells.
Yes.
That came by quickly, though I guess it makes sense, right? 1 million cells is a whole lot more easier to attain than 1 million cars, right? Because there's a lot of cars, or a lot of cars. There's a lot of parts in cars.
Very different.
Yeah.
Chips.
So chips as well. But no, I think it's promising. I mean, if anything, if what you're saying is true about, like, there's about 100 before and now there's only 50, I have no clue where those 50 cars are going. Because at least with like Fremont, when they were making Model Ys, or at least the prototype ones, it wasn't too many. I mean,
yeah.
At least during the time that we're spotting the Model Ys around the Bay Area, it was one maybe in every color, but yeah, a handful, not too many. Where 50 Model Ys just disappearing and going somewhere else. Does that mean the East Coast is finally getting their 4680 Model Ys? Maybe.
Oh. I hope so.
Are they being shipped off to different locations? Like maybe 30 or 15 are going to Giga Berlin, 15 are going to Shanghai, 15 are going to Fremont, just for, I don't know, observational reasons for the teams around there. Or maybe something else. But it could be a decent enough claim to say that the deliveries are beginning, or at least the production is beginning to ramp up finally. And we're finally seeing cars come out of Giga Texas that people get to buy, or at least get to own.
That is exciting.
So
I'm ready. I'm ready for this beast to come online, start actually making stuff, and I'm hoping, like, do you think this event will be the type where they just say the factory's open now, or do you think that they'll actually give us some info about the 4680 Model Y? Because I go back and forth on whether or not it makes sense for them to even mention differences or details, because you're going to cause a huge confusion in customer orders if they all find out that this model is way better than the Fremont model, and everyone's going to wonder how they get that one, if they do mention the advantages. But it also feels weird to, like, bring everyone to that event. I mean, Elon talked quite a bit at the Giga Berlin festival. They had, like, a little speech about what the factory was going to be doing and how it was going to work. Like, do you think it makes sense for them to dive into more of the details at this presentation, or is it just barbecue, have fun, look around?
could be a bit of both. I think it might mirror Giga Berlin, or at least that event, a lot more than anything else that we've seen. It's not going to be like Battery Day where it's one giant presentation and then
Right.
see you later, folks. I definitely would believe it's going to be more like that, where you're going to have people having a nice time, walking around. Maybe they'll have some glimpses into the factory where people can tour through and look at the different 4680 packs that they've got going on there, because that'll be different. That's going to be a whole lot different than what they had at Berlin.
Right.
And maybe we'll finally get more information regarding what they're making there. Like, is it just long range? Because that's all we've mainly seen come out of there. Maybe, like, I think we saw one batch of the performance come out of there.
We did. Yeah.
But from the 50 to 100 that I've seen in pictures on Twitter, they all have Gemini wheels, in which, last I checked, you can't get performance with Gemini wheels anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
So it sounds like long range is going to be its bread and butter for now, and performance is probably going to come sooner or later, which then begs the question, how are they managing the difference between made in Texas and made in Fremont? And maybe they'll clear that up. Maybe they won't. We don't know. It would be nice if they cleared it up. I know, Drew, that you want to figure out how to grab a 4680 Model Y. I don't know if they'll say how to get one, because then you're going to have everyone changing their orders and saying that they live in Florida. We're going to have millions of people in Florida apparently ordering Model Ys suddenly. And the whole Western United States will go quiet.
Yeah, I'm willing to jump through some hoops. I'm willing to admit that. Like, we have some family in Florida and friends that we'd be willing to, to just say, hey, this is our delivery location. And now I'm paying attention to the specs. Like, so far I'm only seeing black and blue Model Ys at a Giga Texas. Like, if that trend continues, I'd be willing to, like, get a specific color just to increase my chances, if that's what it takes. But yeah, like, it would make my life so much easier if they just frickin' explained, like, here's how you get one from Texas, and, you know, here's how you get one from Fremont. But you're right, it would result in a ton of cancellations, and a bunch of people would just be like, oh, okay, I'm getting that one. But it's so weird to think that they're going to have two of these chemistries, or not chemistries, but two of these formats of Model Y, basically OG Model Y and Model Y 2.0 in the same country and coexisting with each other, and how you make them as hard to tell the difference for the average consumer as possible. Because, you know, they don't mention on the website, like, this Model 3 has lithium iron phosphate, this one has 2170s. They like to just hear the numbers, don't worry about it, right? But I thought maybe that's because Tesla's relying on other parties for lithium iron phosphate, whereas they designed 4680 in-house, and that's kind of their thing, so maybe they'd be more proud of it and they would want to bring that up. Like, it was kind of weird for them to bring it up on the official Tesla Twitter account, just because, I don't know, that's them kind of getting more into the weeds on the technical details of their batteries. But what do you think this presentation's going to be, Nick? Because you were spot on with your plaid delivery event predictions.
A bunch of nothing. No, I think it's mostly just going to be a party, right? That's all Elon wants to do and celebrate the Elon
I don't
doesn't
blame
actually
him.
work.
Right.
He just parties.
Yeah.
He just does all those raves up in Berlin. I think it would be interesting to see a little bit of news that maybe gets up there and talks for, 10, 20 minutes about how Giga Texas came online and how all of this future projects that this is going to enable them to do. And then just keep it short, sweet, kind of tell us all the stuff that we already know. All us fanboys and nerds will be like, well, actually, we already knew that. And it's really just going to be for, the press or whoever's going to be there to be like, oh, wow, so Tesla is cool. I forgot about that. Maybe we can ask the
Wait,
president
Tesla exists?
to acknowledge Tesla's existence, which finally he did.
Hey!
Thank you, President Biden. We appreciate that.
They did
Took
it.
you long enough.
It's not like it was the second and fifth best-selling cars in California in 2021.
Yeah. Nah, not at all.
Right
Yeah,
behind
so-
the Hummer,
Yes, the Hummer.
the best-selling vehicle.
And especially in California, I've heard that's a very popular vehicle in California.
I've seen a
Yeah.
few this week. But
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think mostly just party would be my prediction. A little bit of something, but mostly just a party, which is
I
totally
think you're
fine by
right.
me.
I think it'll be Battery Day information just recapped. It'll just be like, so we made the battery in the structure of the vehicle, and the cells are now bigger, which means they're more energy dense. And they talk about all this stuff, and we'll be like, so what does that change for the range? And they're like, bye everyone, have a good party, enjoy. And then they software limit the range to match the Fremont model, and you just don't know about the differences. But yeah, it's quite a predicament they're in because they have all these new innovations that they're trying to apply. If we want to talk about like how innovative a company can be, I would say what's going on at Giga Texas is probably some of the most impressive manufacturing upgrades to a large scale product I've ever heard of. To go into production this quickly and ramp up, by the hundreds of vehicles. I think someone did the math saying like with the number of cells each vehicle requires, like 1,000,000 4680s would build somewhere between like 600 or 1,000 Model Ys. So it's not like a huge number, but it's looking like the
More
cell
than
line is-
Rivian.
Oh yeah, if it was in a Rivian, it'd be probably like 300 vehicles or something. Not as high, but I think Rivian uses 2170 cells,
I think so.
if I remember correctly.
I meant more deliveries than a Rivian.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, that's
I know.
one
It's-
small
it's-
factory
it was a
normal
joke.
versus
I know.
one big
I'm
Fremont
not
boy
attacking
with the
Rivian. I'm
Cato
just
Road.
making an obvious joke.
I'm attacking Rivian. I'll attack them.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
I actually
I love
think
Rivian.
Giga Berlin has produced more vehicles than Lucid.
Well, that's a given.
Except it's just funny because one of them is like deliveries have started, and one of them is just like testing the assembly line and just making sure the factory works, despite Lucid being all about like quality control and how like pristine their build quality is. It's like, well, it's probably really good, but there's been more Model Ys built that are probably all just going to be scrapped because they can't deliver them quite yet. There's just like binders upon binders upon binders of paperwork they have to get through, and
Sounds
it might be a
eco-friendly.
while. Good for the environment to go through all this paperwork, right?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens to those Model Ys. I know there's always the mystery of what happened to like the prototype vehicles, like the original
Right.
Model 3s that we saw on stage, or
Yep.
the original Model S, the original Cybertruck, where the heck that is going to turn, or like where that's
True.
going to be in the future. How are you going to, where are you going to put that thing? It's huge. But along with what you said, like the hundreds of Model Ys that Berlin has made, like, are they going to go to customers, or,
I don't think they can legally.
well, I mean,
what
like
I've read.
eventually, or, oh yeah.
They're like, if they get final verification, then all Model Ys after that point can be delivered. But all the ones built before verification, I don't think they can deliver. So I think they would be perfect as showroom models. Just like put them in the showrooms, let people look at them, but just don't deliver them to anyone.
So would that mean then, if we think the 50 Model Ys that have disappeared from Giga Texas have been produced and delivered for customers, that Giga Texas is done with all its paperwork? It's ready to go.
That's what I have a hard time believing, because I think that would be public. I'm pretty sure we would know if that verification was approved. And I also don't think Tesla would be very quiet about it if they did. I feel like they would want to boast about the factory's now active, or it's very possible that they're taking Model Ys off the lot so that they can be tested, crash tested, or range tested by the EPA. And they can get some new but there's a lot of new testing to go on with this new weight and this new battery pack and checking the charging speed and that kind of thing. So I could see it being for testing purposes, not necessarily deliveries. But I hope I'm wrong. It would be cool if it was operational and they could start delivering, and they're just deciding not to tell people about it yet. They're just being quiet. It's like mysterious.
I wonder what constitutes a vehicle that you can deliver. Like, are you able to take pieces from a vehicle that you can't deliver and put that in a vehicle that you could deliver? Because then if so, like, they could just say, okay, we're going to take this chassis and put it on a newly produced structural battery pack skateboard or whatever for this one. But then for its associated drivetrain and other things that were produced before the paperwork was done, then we'll just put it onto this chassis that we just newly produced. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe they could get away with that if they don't want to waste 50 to 100 or whatever, how many vehicles, and Giga Berlin can do the same thing. But then that's kind of getting into the weeds of how legal it is to take apart vehicles that are pre-production and put it into production vehicles. Like,
true. I also think that, they mentioned, which I thought was weird, that they're not cell constrained this year. It's all just like chip supply constrained. So taking out the battery on one and putting it in another probably isn't really saving all that much if you have a limited number of chips anyway. It's like, take all the chips out of the old car and put it in a
desolders every board.
Right. I think I'm going to guess at Tesla's rate of production that doesn't even make sense for them. It's like easier to just build a whole new one off the line than it is to kind of jerry-rig old parts and put them back together. It's like, this will just be easier to just build a whole new one. But using other ones for show or service vehicles, if you want more vehicles for customer service to drive around, it's like, hey, we're not delivering this to anyone. It's just for Tesla's own internal use and that kind of thing. That reminds me, because I was just in Vegas and we checked out the Boring Company facility with I think it's called Proof Rock, and the boring loop was not in operation because they were expanding it. They were doing construction down there. But they had Model Ys like parked outside the facility that were designated for the loop. They had like branding on them that was like boring loop, and they had numbers. And I just thought that was weird that it was like, well, it's not owned by Tesla, but they have like they did buy a bunch of Teslas and use them and brand them, and now they just kind of sit around. I don't know if an employee like drives home with it or anything. It probably just sits there most of the time.
Yeah,
so,
I guess then the question would be, are you delivering a Model Y to the Boring Company? Or are you saying that the Boring Company and Tesla are partnered in such a way that they're being utilized, these Model Ys, they're pre-production or not customer intended necessarily, when you're somehow classifying the Boring Company not as a customer? But
right.
That's getting, again, into more legal loopholes that I wouldn't know. But
I would not either.
It did sound like a boring time from what you said.
Was quite boring because we weren't really sure. The website doesn't really make it clear of like it's open at these times, or you can just go. It doesn't even say like the address or anything. There's always just like this map. It's like it's at the convention center, but has this weird vague map of
I
like,
think
oh,
the
go
Vegas
here, go
Convention
here.
Center is like 2.5 million square feet or something like that. So just
Oh,
like,
it's
yeah,
huge.
just go find it over there. It's just
It's like, just go to the
over there.
convention center. It's like,
It's like,
Where?
okay, so you told me to go to Paris. Where in Paris? It's just in Paris.
just go to
Thank
Paris.
you.
It's there somewhere. So we walked around for a while and eventually found like the entrance point that you see in all the videos. And it was pretty empty, but they had a little intercom button and someone pressed it and was like, is this in operation today? And there was another person on the other end that just goes, no.
Go home.
So, yeah. There was employees taking a Tesla down into the tunnel, but they were not taking people with them. So, but I was seeing road work go on where they were expanding, and I could see the little like internal concrete design being laid out, and so that was interesting. But yeah, frankly, pretty boring. It was cool because I read about it and seen videos of it and to see it in person. But
Did you get to see
and
Gary
I thought
the
I
snail?
worked for SpaceX. I did not see Gary the Snail. I think that's in Hawthorne. I'm not sure if that's at the Vegas Loop. I think that might be.
He
At
could
the
have been taking
actual
a
boring.
vacation in Vegas. Gary the snail
That's
works
true.
hard. He's their benchmark, so they have to measure
He
him
works
against
hard,
their machine. Yeah,
But he doesn't work fast.
What happens in Vegas will remain on the record permanently. It shall be remembered.
How long do
But-
snails live?
It's a good question for Google.
Around me, not very long.
For you, what does that mean?
Nick destroys all snails on site.
No, I'm just so salty.
Oh,
That sounds
makes
about right.
sense. Because the Cybertruck's delayed. You know what else has been delayed? The R1S, which
Oh,
has
gosh.
been spotted recently in Compass Yellow, Mike's favorite color.
As I show my shirt for the people who are watching this on YouTube. That was pretty cool.
Hey.
It reminds me of a Bronco. That color on that kind of
Oh, yeah.
shaped vehicle. I know it's longer than a Bronco, but
Right.
the R1S with Compass Yellow does look nice. It's actually one of it's one of Rivian's products that my wife is very excited about, which I find interesting because I'm excited about the R1T, but she's excited about the R1S.
Oh, sure.
And she likes the design of it and the interior, and only being in like the R1T that we got to go into last year, she kind of has a feel for what it looks like. And then it either has 3 rows or 2 rows in a really big back area for storage, which is very
I like
appealing
that.
to her.
Especially for if you're into car camping, that has my interest for it because when you're inside the vehicle, you can just secure yourself a lot better and have climate control. Whereas if you're just doing the tent on the outside of the R1T, you're gonna feel whatever it's like outside the tent, and you're not really locked in or that secure. You're protected by a zipper. So I like
Super safe.
the video.
I've heard that bears
Right.
don't know how to use zippers. You need that thumb to undo the zipper.
If it was just bears we had to worry about, I'd be fine. But there's people out there. But
Oh, no.
if you can secure yourself in the... One thing I just kept blanking on was that the R1S doesn't have a gear tunnel. So I guess you can't do the kitchen set thing. Which
No,
kind of sucks.
unfortunate.
But
That's my only gripe with it that I don't like about it is there's not a cool gear tunnel that I can try to squeeze through.
it's kind of unique. It's kind of difficult to recreate that kitchen set on any other pickup truck. So, like, because you can try to do the Cybertruck folded out of the tailgate, but then that makes it really hard to, like, step outside if you're sleeping in there. So
An unconventional foot warmer. If you're getting up
the
and you forgot
Michael
to
Scott foot warmer,
yes, there you go.
that'll work.
Yeah, that's my only gripe with the R1S. But otherwise, I love the design, and it's unfortunate that it's taking so long for Rivian to figure out their manufacturing inefficiencies.
Yeah.
But so far, they've claimed that they've delivered at least one to RJ.
RJ.
So
Deliveries have begun.
it's just like the Hummer EV. We've
I
delivered
watched
one.
his. We've delivered one. I watched the Sandy Monroe RJ video, which was pretty good. I like his personality, and I like how he talks about the product and what they prioritized. He just seems fairly down to earth, and he seems like a good guy to have a conversation with. But at least on paper, it definitely feels like he's a tad more traditional CEO because of like his compensation package. Like the salary he takes home is pretty huge. Simultaneously, taking like first delivery of the first R1S off the lot, I was like, yeah, I mean,
I would
get
too
that
if
you're
I was
excited.
the CEO.
I bet most people would, yes, but I just don't think Elon would be in that same.
He's too
Same
in love
position.
with his Model S.
Yeah. I don't know if he's like he's gonna take delivery of the first Cybertruck off the line or something, or
It is his baby.
You just keep
That
the
is his-
prototype. The prototype's still way cooler, in my opinion.
That's true. Wait, which prototype? The like OG or
The OG one, which I'm
Okay.
sure was held together with duct tape and hot glue. So perhaps that wouldn't be a fun car to drive around. But
that's his favorite. I hope that's at the barbecue.
I don't think so.
Ooh.
I don't think
Really?
we're going to see the light of day of that thing again. I think it's gone.
Even after the Fremont flyover.
never again.
No. The one at
Mike,
Fremont
you speak
is,
of heresy.
The one at Fremont's the new prototype, from
Yeah.
what I can tell. So the old
Oh,
prototype,
you mean the OG? Okay.
yeah, I don't think the OG is going to be seen ever again, or at least like in the
They
way
should
that
take
we
it
saw
off the
before.
website then. Yeah.
Yeah, but then they're revealing more details that people will be asking Elon about, and Elon will ignore it for about a
That's
month.
true. He'll say next earnings call, and then come on the earnings call and not say
Project roadmap coming up.
anything. Roadmap update. Oh, he baited us. Like, do you think people associate Elon with Tesla too much? This was a thought process I was having recently of like, if you just listen to what everyone at Tesla was saying and what the like Tesla Twitter and just Drew Baglino and Zach Kirkhorn, if you just focused on them and you just ignored anything Elon said about it, would you not be disappointed as much? Like, would your expectations be more in line with reality?
I'd be less disappointed, but I would be I'd be less entertained. How about that?
That's the
I'd
term.
be less entertained.
Yeah. Less
Are you
entertained,
not
less
entertained?
disappointed. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good question.
that's fair.
I don't know. Because I guess looking at it on just the face of it, not looking at the CEO or I guess the Techno King,
Right.
not looking at that at all, and just I think there'd be some disappointment, only because you'd get this unveiling or announcement that there's a plaid Model S and
Oh,
a
that's
new
true.
refreshed Model X, and then you don't see anything for a year, and then you're kind of still wondering what the heck happened to the plaid Model S. And if you're not paying attention to Twitter and Elon, then you wouldn't really know, besides that option got taken off the site. So you're like, well, I guess they're not going to produce it. But it's a lot of unanswered questions right there. So I think there's still a decent amount. I think a lot of people that I've seen asking, like, how do I reserve the quad motor Cybertruck, or like, how do I reserve a particular Cybertruck is another one. Mm-hmm. I see that a
Right.
lot. Like, how do I get this specific Cybertruck? I only see reserve now and nothing
Yeah.
else. I'm like, I don't know. I guess you just have to wait.
It's trade offer. I receive $100. You receive nothing for 5 years.
You receive Cyber Owl picture, and that's it.
Super valuable.
You receive an NFT of an owl. That would be a good trade offer for Tesla Roadster reservation holders. I receive $250,000. You receive nothing for maybe 10 years. You will receive a car maybe one day if I get to it.
But the NFT, bro, like that NFT would be so valuable. Like,
That's
you could
true.
have a whole NFT, and like a picture of an owl as an NFT is just It's
Non-fungible
unique.
owl.
I mean, it's a non-fungible owl. Who wouldn't want that?
Would there be like three
true.
NFTs from Tesla then? Because there's the hedgehog, and then the lemur, and then the owl.
Yeah, and the owl.
What was the lemur for?
That was for the long range or the mid-range Model 3. If you ordered
Really?
that, you'd get a lemur image.
Oh, I did not know that. Because they haven't had the mid-range for like years now, right?
Yeah, it's been forever. Yeah.
I wonder who decided to drop the lemur. We need answers. Can we get this answered at the next earnings call?
Whatever happened to the lemur?
What happened? Oh, well.
Yeah, I guess going back to your original question, I think I'd still be decently disappointed overall. Like a whole bunch of things coming and going, not having any answers, not having any answers to the questions of like, what happened to the mid-range Model 3, or why can I reserve a specific trim? Yeah, that too.
Right.
Like you hear all this stuff maybe in the news, or at least like originally when we had the 35,000 Model 3, or basically 35,000, and it just disappears. You're like, I guess they're just not making it anymore. I don't know.
I'm looking at the lemur picture now.
Oh, yeah, you can find it on Google if you want to look.
He doesn't say anything. It's just a lemur looking at the camera.
Does the lemur have to say something? The owl doesn't say anything.
Well, it's an owl. It's cool. But
The
lemur's
owl's
not
eyeballs
cool.
aren't that creepy.
the hedgehog is like, nice. He's making a little symbol.
Yeah.
But the lemur
disrespect.
Your order is complete. Here's a lemur. That's more Gen Z humor. It's like nonsensical. There's no explanation. It's just funny. I like that.
Just like a random image generator for whenever you order a Tesla. It's just a different animal picture each time. You get a whale one time, you're like, what?
I would have pictured something just really like just a picture of Hugh Neutron from Jimmy Neutron. It's like, congratulations.
Nice, Jimbo.
You just wired me $250 non-refundable. Thanks for that. Just be weird
Here's
about
an
it.
NFT. Honestly, those should be NFTs. They should be
There's just an infinite number.
Doge-based NFTs.
There you go. Could get into that. I could.
And then you could trade them like
behind that.
Pokemon cards, and if you get a really
Right.
rare one, then like you could have a free Tesla. Like, I mean,
Oh.
I know how NFTs work, and that's just exactly how everything works in life.
Just a huge influx of NFTs from every Tesla order that go unaccounted for because most people ordering the Tesla probably don't care or know. I'm actually curious of that ratio. Like, I keep thinking in my head, like, if they talk about the 4680 Model Y being way better, is that going to make everyone want that one? Or is there actually like 90% of the Tesla of the Tesla market is like they don't know or care about the batteries, about the structural pack? Like, I wonder what that ratio is of people that is actually paying attention to the news, who would actually like see headlines like that and try to get one, or because obviously they're growing at an astounding rate. There's got to be a fairly large chunk of Tesla fans that really don't care much about what's going on manufacturing wise or know about the other factory, and they're just thinking, I need a car, this one looks good, I'll get that one. And that's the extent of their knowledge.
I think it could be semi-niche of the amount of people who are looking to try to get that 4680 Model Y.
Yeah.
But I'd probably believe that the greater audience does not care or knows the existence of it, but maybe isn't interested in trying to figure out how to order a 4680 Model Y. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I know for me personally, I wouldn't get a non-4680 Model Y if I was in the market for a Model Y. As far as the general market's concerned, I think if you're going to get a Tesla, you've done your research, and if you are doing your research, you're going to know about the difference between the 2170s and the 4680s. So you probably will want the better one, but some people just want their cars now, and maybe they're okay with that. So I don't know.
I think some is definitely putting it lightly in terms of the supply and demand craziness that is Tesla. The the delays are insane at this point with how many, I guess just like how many months you have to wait just to get your car.
It used to not be this way. I keep trying to remind people of that. Like, I remember when it was measured in weeks. That felt like it wasn't that long ago. I remember playing around in the configurator, and it was like 3 to 4 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, and that was the timeline. Now it's like they have to specify the year with the month because it's so far out. It's like
It's not even in weeks.
this will deliver in April. Oh, of 2023. Oh, great.
Jeez.
That's gonna be a while.
Would that be like
They have to
is that a long range Model Y?
X. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Yeah. That's the worst one. I haven't seen any as bad as the cheapest Model X, which is $105,000, is pushed out till like May of 2023 or something like that. It's way out. And the people who ordered a refreshed Model X like the day they refreshed it are still waiting, and they've had their delivery dates pushed like a year now. It went from July of 2021 to July of 2022. They're still waiting. I feel bad for them.
Yikes.
But
I've seen many more refreshed Model X's recently. I didn't see any for a long time. And then all of a sudden recently in the last month I've seen like 3 of them.
oh, nice.
So,
Well, that's good. They're ramping up. I saw Plaid, several refreshed Model S's in Vegas, and even some on the trip. But we were through San Francisco, which makes sense. There's a ton of them there. But I got to see the yoke up pretty close. For some reason, this Model S did not have Sentry mode on, so I felt comfortable getting kind of close to the car. Yeah, smearing my face on the glass. But seeing this kind of demand for the vehicles with prices this high makes me think, I don't know where you guys sit on it, but I don't think the $25,000 Tesla is ever going to happen. It's not like a...
Oh, no,
I don't
hell
think it's
no,
like...
no.
Eventually, it'll get there. Some people still have that concept of, like, one day they'll get the price down low enough. It's like, I don't think, even if you were making 20 million vehicles a year, I don't think you could match the demand for a $25,000 Tesla. It would be too high. It would, like, seeing how high the demand is for $60,000 Teslas is insane. And I think that it's evidence that people are willing to make this Tesla stretch, I think, as they used to call it, of like, I think everyone here can attest that, like, we, before Tesla, were not interested in spending that much money on cars. It was always like, fairly low used vehicle prices until Tesla comes around, and then you're like, oh, okay, I could stretch past 50,000 because it's a Tesla. And we're seeing it sell at similar volumes in California, at least, to a Toyota Camry, despite being twice the price. There's almost an equal number of people ordering. And I think that trend will probably just continue, that people are willing to spend big money if it's a Tesla because they know they're getting more than an average car. And as long as that's the case, which I believe it always will be, then you could sell in the tens of millions and have prices in the, 35,000, 40,000 category, especially with inflation. That's not making that 25K dream coming.
I don't know if we'll ever hit that number. Now, maybe inflation adjusted will hit that number, but I kind of doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I know we're not going to see in the next year.
No. Oh, God, no.
If anything, like maybe the next 5 years, we might see something close to it, assuming that Texas and Berlin do their job in offsetting the demand ridiculously with the production rate that they could achieve theoretically.
Right.
But no, it's not in the near future. We're going to see anything close to a 25K Tesla. Maybe like a 35 or 40. Maybe like a 35 in the next like 3 or 4 years. I could probably see that. Texas and Berlin being efficient enough to where everyone gets their order within weeks again. Hopefully, hopefully we can return back to that time. Let's return back to some time when things were nice. You could buy a car from Tesla and it wouldn't take you months to get it unless you were lucky.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, I agree. The 25K Tesla is a nice idea, but it's not reality yet at all. Which is interesting because we were so close before.
I'm at the never point. Yeah. I remember whenever they announce something and it's fresh and new, it sounds very believable. It always sounds like, oh yeah, they're going to figure that out. It's going to happen. But as time goes on, it's like, it's sad news because, there's a ton of people out there that are just not interested in buying a Tesla until they can get really, really cheap like that. But the counter argument is there are enough people to pay more for that, that it won't matter. It's like we won't reach the limiting point where Teslas are too expensive so they can't grow anymore. It's like we're so far away from that point considering how expensive they are now, and there's still a crap ton of people willing to pay. So that's why I think like every time we get another price reduction, which honestly isn't going to happen anytime soon with a backlog this long, because if Tesla does reduce the price, everyone's just going to either reorder or Tesla will have to honor the price reduction. It's basically leaving money on the table. You have people already committing to paying $60,000 or $100,000 for their Tesla. So until you've delivered and catched up on that backlog, there's really no point in lowering the price again. So I don't think it's going to be like price reductions within the next year or two. It's going to be a while. And even when they do catch up on production, every time you drop the price, you expand your addressable market a little bit more. Like you made it that much more obtainable to the vast majority of people. So every little notch we go down, demand is going to spike way up again. And I could see so many notches in between where we are now and like 40,000 starting, 35,000 starting to the point of 25. I'm like, no, I don't think we're going to have the capacity for that ever. And maybe, yeah, like Nick said, maybe adjusted for inflation, you could make the argument. It's like, well, $35,000 Tesla in 2040 is actually pretty much $25,000 in 2021 or 2020, whenever they announced it. But
yeah,
it's.
I did want to issue a correction though. There will be something at least 25K or most likely under that's produced by Tesla, which is the Cyberquad, assuming that they keep with the idea of making the Cyberquad. So if you're talking about four-wheeled vehicles, that
they've already done it with the kids version.
Yeah, but I mean that's like a kid's toy that you could get an adult on it, I guess. But actually something that you can rip through the sand dunes. I think the Cyberquad's going to be the only thing that you can buy that's a Tesla product that has that torque that Teslas have. But
true.
You have to wear a helmet, doesn't have a seatbelt, of course. Can't really drive it on city streets unless you're in some rural town in the middle of nowhere. That doesn't care if there's all-terrain vehicles on the road. Or, I don't know. But
I wonder what the range on that will be. That'll be interesting.
It depends on many, many things. Like, are you on dirt or are you on sand? And if so, how deep is the sand or how fine is the dirt? Are you going uphill? Yeah, are you going uphill or downhill? What's your average...
Are there clouds in the sky?
Does the Cyberquad also have a solar tonneau cover?
Oh, there you go. It probably uses fairly little energy compared to a car, so you might be better off charging that with solar than the actual vehicle.
How long is your commute? I think the Cyberquad is perfect for you.
Honestly, the Cyberquad with some street tires might make a pretty good last mile commuter.
You could build a little overhang, kind of try to make it into a golf cart somewhat designed so it has a little roof.
I think of that
Cyberquad's
aesthetic, but yes.
I think at that point I'd just take apart a Model 3 that can't supercharge anymore.
That sounds cheaper. Salvage Teslas are much cheaper than new, but you just can't supercharge them, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, I guess to change the subject a little bit, I got to see something on the road yesterday that I haven't seen with my own
Ooh.
eyes yet.
Ooh.
I got to see the elusive Rivian delivery truck that Rivian's
Ooh.
Oh,
making
wow.
for Amazon.
Cool.
Oh, that's right. They have some in your area. I forgot about that.
Apparently, the Bay
How was
Area
it?
is an official city where you can see very unique vehicles and other things that you wouldn't see in a rural town. It was big.
Hey, I have Starship.
Big.
It's big. I saw it on the road. I'm like, that's a weird looking UPS truck. And then it passed by. I'm like, that wasn't a UPS truck. It's definitely a bit bigger than like I guess the E-Transit or
Oh, yeah.
anything like that. But it's smaller than a UPS truck, so it's maybe around like the FedEx truck size, maybe.
Okay.
If you're saying,
Did it have UPS branding on it?
no, because it's a Rivian delivery vehicle. It's for
Amazon?
Amazon, but the only thing that I could see on it when it was going or was it one way and I was going the other way. The only thing I saw was it's bluish, kind of like that Rivian blue look with not like a camo, mostly like lines and squares and circles on it, like some weird wrap that you'd put on, almost like the Lucid wraps, except the Lucid wraps were more like, how would you describe those? Sometimes they were like nature based, like, oh, this one looks
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
They're like gradients?
Monterey or something like that. Yeah, like a gradient. This one was just more like a single tone color with a bunch of different shapes in a different color. But it was big.
Yeah.
So I think this might not be a bad alternative. I don't know what the range is. I'd have to check what the delivery van range is that they expect it
Last
to
I
be.
checked, it was not great. I think it's kind of a toss-up because people will instantly look at most electric delivery vans that come out and say, oh, this efficiency is terrible. Oh, the range is terrible. But the truth is, inherently, it's just not a very efficient design. You're never really going to match crossover or sedan energy efficiency with a big vehicle that has to have this big drop off on the back, which is not aerodynamic. And it's obviously going to be moving a lot more space, so that's going to use more energy per mile. So I think people probably, it's kind of like people saying the R1T is the least efficient electric vehicle ever. It's like, well, it's also the first pickup truck that's electric. So pickup trucks inherently, because they're big and because they're not aerodynamic, they're not going to perform that well in the efficiency rating. So I think all delivery vans that are electric to a certain extent aren't going to be breaking any records, but I thought I looked it up and it was sub 150 miles or something. It was pretty low. But for most city delivery van purposes, that's fairly logical because they don't need to go cross country. They're not doing road trips. They're mostly driving around residential areas and in city blocks, and they don't drive 200 miles a day or 300 miles a day. So
And they're
I know
rarely
that
going
Tesla-
above 25 miles per hour because they're in these city streets.
It's true. Right. And the efficiency is much, much better at lower speed. So people probably see that and think, oh my God, it's terrible. Tesla will make a 300-mile van. And it's like, I don't think they necessarily would need to. It would be kind of cool on paper. It would probably sell great to the YouTuber van lifers of the world that just want, man, I can already tell. There's a bunch of pent-up crazy demand.
I don't even know what this is, but I want this so bad.
Oh, the or was it the Rivian delivery van?
Tesla Sprinter van. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A Tesla Sprinter van. Yeah, they've said, well, at least Elon has said, so take it with a grain of salt, but Elon said eventually we'll do a van. But I can already tell there's a crazy amount of pent-up demand for the first van that can supercharge. I don't really even know if it's a Tesla or not, but as long as there's a van that you can buy that's all electric and, you can have camp mode, so you could control the HVAC inside and you can charge all your MacBooks and Starlink and just go on a road trip and live out of your van. So many people are going to want to do that as soon as it's available that Tesla's going to have a hit product on their hand. And if that's your target demographic, maybe having 250, 300 mile range would be beneficial. But if you're just trying to cater toward businesses that are doing deliveries, then it really serves no benefit to include all those
our
extra
vehicles
cells.
drive 50 miles a day. We don't need 300-mile battery packs.
It's kind of cool to look at, but you could easily put in just less batteries per vehicle and sell way more vehicles to the business side of things. But I don't know. But I'm not sure what the ratio of sales would be compared to van lifers and FedEx and Prime. Like, well,
Yeah.
Prime is probably not going to buy Tesla vans. That would be a weird look. Maybe they would, but
That'd be very strange. Nah, I think what they would do is they'd have a nice split between these Rivian delivery vans that they're making that we don't have too much information on,
Yeah.
and the new Ford e-Transits that during the time that we were gone, Ford announced that they're making 10,000 of these initial e-Transits, and they're starting now. They've already started delivery of them. So we don't have
delivery of delivery.
the delivery of delivery vans. I believe was it? They said they cost around 44,000 starting price.
Wow.
With a range of around 126 miles. So that's in line with what you were saying before, Drew, in regards to you. They're not really looking to make like the van lifer van necessarily, unless you're a van lifer who doesn't go that far. Which I guess makes sense in many
50
cases.
mile a day van lifer.
Yeah, but their claim was that most commercial vans only go about 74 miles a day. So
That's true.
they're claiming that they're excelling at making a van already with an electric drivetrain versus what's on the road right now. So it could happen. I
Just
mean,
don't turn on the HVAC.
yeah. Well, I mean, if it's as
Delivery
inefficient
van,
as
the doors are open.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. If
Because
it's
there was some story about how the Rivian delivery van was tanking its range as soon as the heating or cooling was put on, which made me think, like, that sounds like a job for Octavalve. This would be a good time for a heat pump. I'm still kind of surprised they don't have those, considering how new and updated the R1T and R1S is, but they'll probably come around on it eventually.
Yeah. In line with that, or I guess on the same vein, was it our favorite one and only Canoe, who still hasn't produced a vehicle yet? Please
Production vehicle.
make a production vehicle. I believe in them so much. I really want them to succeed.
That's good.
They claim
Me too.
that their vans, their multi-purpose delivery vehicles, 1 and 2, which are like something the
The
size...
cyber van.
Yeah, it looks like a cyber van. One looks to be the size of a e-Transit, and the other one looks a little bit more like a UPS or FedEx truck. Go from like 90 to 230 miles, depends on what you want. If you want something bigger, you're going to get 90 to 190 miles is what they claim. If you want the smaller one, it's 130 to 230, which, looking at what Ford's doing and what Rivian's doing, it's a little bit less likely that we'll see those numbers.
Sure.
But they do say it starts at like 33,000 as well, which is a little bit. I don't know how much the Rivian the Rivian delivery vehicle costs.
Van.
Whatever it is.
Well, you had to buy 100,000 at a time, according to Amazon. It requires you to invest. I don't know what was it, 100 million or something. They invested a bunch into the company, and then they got that contract signed, and now they have to abide by that contract. That's why I think, like, if Tesla was in production hell, Rivian is in like production mega hell or something, because they're going through
Giga hell.
Giga hell.
That's a good term. Because not only are they trying to ramp the R1T, they're trying to ramp the R1T, the R1S, and the delivery van all at the same time, whereas Tesla typically was ramping one model at a time. It was like, okay, here's the Roadster. That's enough of that. Let's ramp the Model S. Okay, Model S is kind of ramped. Let's try to ramp up Model X now. This is way harder than we thought. Okay, we're done. Now let's try to ramp up Model 3. So they were kind of tackling one Titan at a time. And even that was challenging for them. They did not become profitable through any of those ramp-ups. Whereas Rivian is like, we're going to ramp all three simultaneously, all of which are fairly inefficient designs relative to Tesla's first three vehicles. And they require a ton of batteries, which are expensive. And Rivian's also trying to build out a whole second factory already, and they don't have much movement on the Adventure Network yet. So I'm rooting for them because I love the product, and I could easily see myself buying a R1T one day. But I hope that they're managing their finances well. That's my only concern, because whenever they do their earnings reports, it's always just like, oh, we blew even more money than we thought. It's like, oh God, is this going to be profitable? Is this company going to go bankrupt? Are they going to get bought out? Because I don't want them to get bought out, and it's just a lot on their plate.
I think their ace in the hole is Amazon in this case. They've got one of the biggest companies in the world helping them produce vehicles, or at least giving them money, which allows them to make vehicles. So it's one step better than Tesla. Tesla had investors and backers, but that was kind of it. And yeah, I guess they had some Elon Musk money, but even so, like, they almost went bankrupt, and Elon almost lost all his money in that, where I think if Rivian went under, RJ would not be in danger at all. So it's a little bit less. It's a little bit less of a risk for Rivian if they go into the red, in which they are in the red. They're deep in the red. But I don't think it's too much of a worry, because they've got time, because they've got money. So they can figure it out. Yeah, it sucks that we're seeing such a huge backlog with the R1T and not even seeing the R1S as much. But they do have substantial backers with Amazon, and I think Ford was also a backer for a time. I don't know if they still are or not.
I think they backed out, I heard.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't see them like going away. To me, like, worst case scenario is Amazon buys them out and just owns them because they lost too much money. But if that's the case, I don't see Amazon prioritizing R1T and R1S. I feel like they would quickly turn Rivian into the delivery van company. That you just have to build vans for us now because that's more important. And I don't like that. I'm not as interested in that. I want to see them find their own little adventure market for the camping package and for the off-roaders. And I like that side of the business more than the delivery van stuff, because it's just kind of like, yeah, okay. It looks like most Prime vans now. It has a little bit funkier headlights. That's cool. But, I'd rather Canoe go after that market, or,
Please.
Honestly,
for goodness sake, please build something.
The multi-purpose delivery van thing is just because I'm such a fan of the Cybertruck design. I want to see a cyber van aesthetic. Essentially, that's what Canoe made. So, like, I want to let the van companies be the van companies, and let Rivian. You can tell just by the way RJ talks, he's far more interested in the R1T and R1S. I think that's their core ideology. The delivery van is like obligation design. It's like, well, we got to make these because Oscorp pays the bills. So that's who we have to cater to. So
it's like
they want vans,
Luthor.
give them vans. Right.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him, but nervous. I really hope that they can manage their finances well and handle all these things at the same time.
Agreed.
Yep.
Well,
always optimistic.
Yeah. Oh, here. Any final thoughts, gents?
I hope I get invited to this event because I really want to go.
I really hope you do too. It'd be really cool for you to. I mean, we already had one person go to an Elon Musk event recently.
We need
That's
a
true.
second one.
Would be nice for another person to go to an Elon Musk event. I mean,
and while you're down here, Drew, come say hi.
I would love to.
You already are wearing the correct clothing. You just need to come down here.
Correct clothing.
they'll let you in immediately.
Yep. Like, you work here,
please.
right?
Right in, sir. Come right in, sir. Yeah. But I actually, April 1st wasn't going to work for me, so I was a bit bummed. I was like, well, I guess I can just say I didn't get an invite, but April 7th, I'm more free that day. So now I can. I think I can confidently say if I get an invite, I can go. But I probably won't because I'm a nobody. You got to start DMing some people. Be like, how do I get invited? Also, like, are there Are there enough like just influencers and YouTubers to fill a whole event? Because Gigafest, you could like register online, right? You could like go to a website and say I want to attend, and you'd get tickets. And, like they had a bunch of people go that weren't like YouTubers. Know. So I'll keep a sharp eye because I want to go.
Yeah,
especially
let me know. I'd like to go too. I'll fly out.
That sounds fun. Would you go, Nick? You're the closest.
Possibly, maybe.
You don't want to see a 4680 Model Y in person?
No,
you want to see a bunch of cells? I thought you liked looking at cylindrical pieces of metal, Nick.
I do love looking at cylindrical pieces. I just like the bigger ones.
He likes the big ones. Well, it is bigger than the old ones, but yeah, not as Starship
you know
big.
I mean.
Yeah.
Imagine one big
Take
Starship
care,
cell.
Yeah. Battery powered Starship.
8 billion.
4680 meters.
Yeah, that makes sense. Take care. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.